This show is sponsored by Hivemind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the Hivemind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings and, of course, to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Got some people joining in. What have you been up to all day, Tony?
I just went and showed a ranch, actually, to Mitzi Diane, man. She said she'll take 20 acres off of one of my properties, so pretty happy about that. That makes me about 60% sold out.
Awesome. I just seen that she posted that she just committed to 20 acres today. I didn't realize it was your 20 acres.
Guilty.
Is that the Castroville one you're working on, or a different one?
No, this is 54 acres I signed up off of 37 down in Pleasanton. Castroville's about to go down too. I just talked to their attorney on Friday. The family had it in a trust, and that was going to be the main thing because I was trying to take over the mortgage, and they didn't know if that was going to trigger the due on sale clause. So I was on the phone with the two sellers and their attorney, and he said we're good to go, that I can go ahead and take the trust over. So that one's in the bag, man. That's a slam dunk. It should be minimum like 1.5, 1.7.
Yeah, definitely. I guess we can get this kicked off. It's 7:05. People can keep coming in as they come in. Anybody that doesn't catch us can go back and listen to the recording. But so basically this week I had a speaker scheduled that wasn't able to make it today. So I texted Anthony, or I think I called you, Anthony, about 2 hours ago, and I was like, hey, man, you want to come on today or for this evening? And so everybody that doesn't know, Anthony is my mentor. He's the guy that taught me everything that I know about real estate. There isn't a coaching program out there that can teach you how much I've learned from Anthony over the last year. Now, there might be something close to it, but it wouldn't even come close to the amount of information that I've learned from Anthony just by being close to him, over the last year. So thank you, Tony, for doing everything you have done for me so far. And hopefully we can share some of that knowledge tonight in this Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Pretty excited about this. It's pretty cool. First time I've ever been on Twitter Space. First time I've ever hung out with all the Tykes. So pretty cool.
Well, and everybody that doesn't know, me and Anthony actually bought the Boardroom Beast together. So for everybody in here that knows the Boardroom Beast as me, I guess I manage it, but we're actually in on it together. So Anthony is just as much as Boardroom Beast as I am. He actually came to the first Boardroom Beast meetup in Vegas, and he had his wife in town, so he stayed for about an hour and then took off. But I'm managing this side of the business for the Tykes thing that we have, the Tykes investment, I should say, not the business. Happy to have him in it with me and to bring value as this thing evolves. And just like yesterday, a couple days ago, I saw that Pace Morby jumped in, and so I sent him a message last night on Instagram, and so we started talking and trying to get him in on one of these calls that we're doing. We'll see how that goes, but it's in the future. I think it'll happen. It'll probably be after Tykes Summit, but we will hopefully be hosting Pace in here one night. So let's just dive right into it, Tony. Tell me a little bit about your history, or tell everybody about your history. I know it, but tell everybody else about your history, how long you've been in real estate, what you focus on, the whole 9 yards.
Cool, man. Yeah, awesome. So I probably consider myself like the luckiest guy in real estate because I wish I could say that I've done everything that I'm doing and come as far as I have in such a short amount of time because I'm really intelligent. But I just think it's just that I'm lucky. I'm in the right place at the right time a lot. I've just been networking a whole bunch, and I've been able to move some little mountains, in my short career in real estate. I have a marketing background. I've been in marketing for almost 15 years, and I come from construction. So, I was a kid, and my dad said, "Get in the truck, you're going to work." He started a painting and construction company. So that's the background I have. Well, with that, it was either feast or famine. So we were always starving to death, or we had a ton of work and nothing in between. So I was always marketing. Like, I was trying to figure out how we can get more jobs. So I was always really, really focused on marketing as, like, I guess, as a primary business model, just to be able to, eat, that kind of stuff. So, fast forward, 20 years later, looking for some land that I could buy for my family to build a house. And I got on YouTube and I typed in, "How do you buy land for cheap?" And I came across the word wholesaling. I'd never heard that term before. And I just went down that rabbit hole, started looking, and I saw that people were doing this as a business model driven by marketing. So I said, "Oh, opportunity here." I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could do that you could just, instead of me generating construction leads, right? Because I was doing like $500,000 roofs, $1 million roofs. Instead of generating construction-based leads, I can generate real estate-based leads and then just turn around and sell the contracts. So what I was doing in construction was I was taking on these big projects. I was filing like the insurance claim with the building owner, and then I was just wholesaling the jobs, right? So I'm the contractor. I'm the one dealing with the insurance company. I sign all the paperwork, get everything ready to go. And then once they give me a check, for several $100,000, I would just find a smaller roofing company and I would let them do the project start to finish, all the labor, all the materials, everything. And then I would just make the spread, whatever it was on the back end. And they were pretty substantial. So I was already kind of, familiar with the process of wholesaling leads. And once I saw that there was an opportunity with that in real estate, I just immediately shut down everything else I was doing and started focusing just on real estate. And since I had a construction background, I thought I was going to be like a house flipper. Thought I was going to be doing like buildings or houses or something, since I have a very extensive knowledge in construction. I'm a licensed home builder and a general contractor. But my first deal, second contract I got that turned into profit was 46 acres in a town called Grandview, Texas, just south of Fort Worth. And I made $85,000 on one of my first deals, still not knowing anything. So that made me kind of just pay attention to land. I said, there's something going on here, something that I should be paying attention to that I didn't hear a whole lot of people talking about. So I stuck with land.
I think that deal was the one that you had asked me what the Batwing mower was, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. So again, I'm just. Do I have horrible feedback again?
No, I think it was me. I'm muted.
Okay. Yeah. So, I know Evan, he grew up farming with his dad. His dad's a super intelligent business person that owns a lot of land. And I called him and I said, "Hey, dude," I said, "can we get your dad on the phone?" He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I'm trying to buy this farm. I know nothing about farms. I know nothing about land. I know nothing about, I'm just a lucky guy. I'm not super intelligent. I'm just trying to figure this out. I don't know what to do to piece this deal together." But I saw the grass was like 5 or 6 feet high, talked with the seller, said, "Hey, she's in China," right? So I said, "Why don't you let me make some improvements to the property so that it looks presentable? That way we can source a buyer and get this thing sold for you." So that's why I called Evan. I said, "Hey, man, I got to get this thing shredded." But it looks like a big job, right? 50 acres of 5-6 foot high grass. I mean, it looked like a damn forest. And I called Evan, and we kind of put a little game plan together, and we got that sucker sold. Turned out to be really good. And since then, I've gone on to do a lot of land deals, to the tune of 100,000, 120,000, 155,000. I have one I bought right now for 175. We just listed it for 600. And then I have right now, I would guess I have about 5 million plus under contract, and I should contract another 2.5 million on one deal, hopefully next week. So we're stacking them up just as quick as we can find them. I'm looking at one north of Dallas for 17 million that we're trying to contract. But they're just popping up now left and right. That I kind of made a niche out of focusing on deals that are $1 million and up and nothing under. And we're just getting our wings now. And now that people see what we're doing, we're starting to attract a lot of capital. There's a lot of people that are interested in this business model, and they're seeing us have success. And more and more people are starting to offer us capital. So we're just trying to figure out where to put it and be diligent, right? Because if it's our money, it's okay if we lose it. we can make it back. But when it's somebody else's money, it's a lot more risky and just an area that we're kind of moving into uncharted territory here. So we're just trying to be a little bit more intelligent about what we buy and the offers that we make, especially moving into this weird economic area that we're moving into.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that Tony has taught me a lot on is creative deals. So, like basically, when I first started listening to Tony talk about real estate, I was still working a W-2 job. He kept saying, come do this with me, come do this with me, come do this with me. And I'm like, why? What are we going to do? How are we ever going to come up with millions of dollars in cash? And he's like, we don't need to come up with millions of dollars in cash, Evan. He's like, come learn this with me and I'll show you how to do it. So when I finally got my wits about me, gave him a call, came down to San Antonio, and for the last, I don't know, what's been 15, 16 months now, been learning it from Tony, but, and just so everybody knows, I call Tony. Everybody else calls him Anthony, but his family calls him Tony, so I feel like I should be able to as well. I feel like
You've been in the family long enough.
yeah, I feel like we're brothers now. But yeah, so kind of go into a little bit of the creative side of stuff and how you lock up deals, because you typically come in, you got $1 million deals, but your $1 million deals are the sale price, but you come in for way less than that. And how do you lock up deals?
Yeah, so that's I guess that's one of the niches that I found out. Again, just from being dumb lucky and not super intelligent, is just we didn't have too much cash on hand to invest when we first started. So I had to be as creative as possible. So on that Grandview deal, she wanted 225, and I just told her, like, what do you need right now? Like, I know you don't need $225,000 tomorrow. What exactly do you need right this second so that you can be above par while I go in, make some improvements to the property so we can sell it? And she said, I just need $10,000. So I gave her 10,000 in her hand, and I immediately listed it for 330, and it sold right away. So, that again, that green light came on. It's not something where I learned or took a course or, saw somebody pitching that creative financing on YouTube. I was just being resourceful and trying to do as many deals as possible with the limited resources that I had. So if you think about it, right, like if you're going to do a sub-2 deal, right, like on either a house, commercial, whatever you're going to do, they're few and far between, right? I mean, you might have to talk to 100, 150 homeowners before you can find one sub-2 deal, if not more than that. So the same with land, right? Instead of us coming in from a buyer's perspective where we say, hey, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to throw down $2 million on this piece of land. I'm going to come in there and my first go-to is I'm just going to try to take it over creative. I'm going to try to get in there with nothing. And that's where we're at right now. We've been going in and negotiating with sellers, talking to just tons and tons and tons of property sellers that have land valued at $1 million and up. And we're just asking them, what the situation is. So not really coming in looking for motivated sellers, because you're going to find that people that own, farms and ranches that are worth millions of dollars, they're not hurting for cash at all. They're not motivated. They don't need the money. Sometimes it's been in their family for 10, 20 years. And so you just got to kind of get in there, see what they're thinking. What is their situation, kind of what's on their mind. And then that's when we'll kind of lean into the creative. Hey, well, if you don't need the money anyway, and you seem to be in no hurry, what if we could, get something going with this property where we can put some cash in your pocket or help you move it from one property to another? And yeah, it's been going really, really well. We've met a lot of good people that are very, very sharp, that own a lot of real estate. And yeah, every now and then they're willing to let us take a crack at it, sometimes with nothing out of pocket. I have one that I'm negotiating right now. The gentleman wants 2.4 million for 100 acres. It's right on I-35, which is the main vein that runs through Texas. And we're offering him 100,000 down, and then no payments, no interest for 15 months while we come in there and try to find another buyer. So that's what we're doing. Lots of creative, just lots of just imagining deals. And again, not based on any structure, anybody's training. We're just coming in just as like a regular guy, just talking to these sellers and seeing if we could put a deal together.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I think one of the things that I've excelled at when I've been with you on different jobs and looking at jobs, and then one of my own was just talking to the seller like a human being and just trying to figure out the problem and not trying to come in as a strategy, but try to figure it out as we go, and then like really be creative on what that person wants and then how we can provide that transaction to happen. So but yeah, so one of the things, with Tony that you're probably a lot more apt in than anybody else is the Web3 side of things. So you have big visions, and that's one of the reasons we got into Tykes. But go into your kind of vision a little bit, and I mean, your vision, our vision, go into what you're thinking, anyways, on Web3 and where it's going to take and where it's going to go to from here. You able to talk a little bit about that, like blockchain is what I'm talking about, and NFTs and how that's going to change as we go down the road, and how you see it changing. I know we've talked a lot about it between me and you. No?
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Sorry, man. I took another call on the line by accident, and it wouldn't let me back in. Like I couldn't hear anything at all. Probably because I'm downstairs.
I thought maybe I had you stumped on the Web3 thing there for a second.
Sorry, man. Yeah. You want to start again? And yeah, if you're gonna hit me with a Web3 question, yeah, I'm stumped already.
No, I was just saying you're probably one of the only people in real estate that probably will be in on one of these talks that kind of understands Web3 and where it's going, or at least has an idea on it. Obviously, you're a boardroom member in Tykes, and I know you're kind of following my lead on this, but you also have a lot of visions on where NFTs are going to go, blockchain technology is going to go. So, maybe you're not spot on, but kind of just, describe your vision with it.
Okay, yeah. So I've been talking to Daniel about this. Maybe Daniel can chime in on this because we do a lot of like I don't even know what you call it, but where we envision the future. And we've recorded a couple podcasts where we pointed at what might happen in our business with Hivemind, those kinds of things. And we did talk about the same, something similar to what Ryan has envisioned before, where it's like everything right now that's valuable in the world. I would say that real estate investors are like Neanderthals because we can only think about what we can see, touch, and feel, where we're moving into a space where you're not going to be able to do that anymore, right? So some of the most valuable things on this planet are going to be non-physical, right? They're going to be in the digital world. So I think that real estate is going to move into a space where you can convert hard assets into digital, right? So I can see people buying a $10 million mansion in cyberspace, right? So they're never going to be able to take it anywhere. They're not going to be able to move it anywhere, but they're going to have it. They're going to own it, and they're going to pay real money for it. And so if anybody in this room thinks like, well, it seems a little far-fetched, I get what you're saying, but maybe not so quite dramatic, but that's exactly where we're headed. And we're going to end up there pretty quick because we live in a world where, a lot of things are like peer-to-peer entertainment, peer-to-peer marketing. So you're going to have a space where somebody like a Logan Paul is just going to buy $100 million mansion just to say he owns it. So that way, when you hop into the metaverse, you're going to go to his $100 million mansion in the metaverse. Right, so it's going to have clout, notoriety. You can rent it out. Same thing like physical real estate, but it's in the digital world. So the people that capitalize on that digital transition first are going to be able to position themselves similarly to if you started buying real estate 100 or 200 years ago. I think that's exactly where we're headed right now. I can see anything that has to be documented, anything that's on record, right? Like title companies, those kinds of things, it's all going to be digitized. So there's going to be a lot of different business models that are going to be becoming relevant from Web3 and in the space that we're headed into.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things I see as well is just from the aspect of being able to go out. Like right now, you can go online, and if you want to look at a house, you can see the 3D model of it. And they're probably already working on this. I'm just not as intelligent to know. But being able to put your headset on and walk through that house and see everything just like you're there. So I think that's going to be something that's right down the road. And I don't see that happening a long ways out, but I think that's like 3-4 years, if not less, down the road. And then also, just the way, like you said, tracking title companies going through and putting chains of title onto the blockchain. I know that's already happening. There's a couple of counties throughout the United States that's already doing it. So basically, Tony and I are just positioning ourselves right now with Tykes and getting ourselves in that space. But also, what I would like to do in the next year is to NFT a piece of land to a community. So I'm in talks outside of Tykes with a company right now. I'm not going to say who, but we're actually looking at some land in Texas that they want to buy. as a NFT type project. So obviously, whenever that develops, we'll be bringing it through Tykes, so everybody in this community has that opportunity as well. But that's also something that's going to be happening, hopefully sooner than later. Daniel, I don't, I don't want to leave you out here. Feel free to jump in here. Daniel's Anthony's business partner on Hivemind, and feel free to jump in here and just talk because you do a lot of land as well.
Yeah, I would say a lot of I think a lot of what Web3 space is going to do is up and coming, but there's plenty of opportunity for it and ways to make a lot of money. So I'm just excited to be one of the people. Not, let's say you don't have to be the first person to jump on the wave, but you just see it coming. So me and Anthony were talking about what crypto can do in the real estate space before even Tykes came out, and now Tykes came out, and so now we're just like, okay, we don't have to be the first, but we can be somebody that's interested in the space and listening and see what's going on around that space. So it's kind of interesting to see what different ideas are coming to fruition as the time progresses, because there's so much opportunity in this space.
Yeah, I was gonna say that that's something that we thought about. So we hired a couple of like mentors and consultants that could help us piece together something like this, right? Based on our ideas and where we thought things might go. And we've had several meetings about it. And so once Evan told me what Ryan was doing, I was like, "Oh, dude, yeah, I don't even want to be out in the front. Like we're just gonna just hop on his bus because I already know where he's going." And it's funny because I don't even have the entire vision. Like I've been getting a lot of this third party information from Evan, but once he gave me like just a little view of what Ryan was about to do, I was like, "Oh man, count me in! Like I already know where this is headed." Like I said, we had already envisioned something like this a couple years ago. Maybe it wasn't going to be the exact same thing, but I was like, "Yeah." So like Daniel said, we're just here for the party because I already know where this is going to go. So if anybody in this room is not yet fully convinced or sold on Tykes, yeah, I mean this is the right place to be in. And even though the whole entire business plan might not be rolled out and maybe all the nuts and bolts aren't in the correct place, like just with the vision and the kind of people that are behind this project, yeah, this thing's gonna explode.
Yeah, definitely. And what I see about it, what I really like about Tykes is not only is I think Ryan's vision mostly on point, but also that we have what 60 millionaires in the room that are all backing this right now. And I know throughout the and when I say 60 millionaires, what I'm saying is 60 business people that got to become a millionaire through business and creating businesses, not buying 20 Bored Apes or Crypto Punks and becoming a millionaire, a crypto millionaire, but actually like growing businesses and figuring out. So I just don't think Tykes can lose unless something crazy happens. But I don't think that can happen either with the amount of leverage and personal. What's the word? With the amount of notoriety that Ryan has. I mean, it's not going to be like a rug pull one day. So, does anybody have questions in the group? Anybody wants to ask Anthony something, but maybe about land, maybe his vision on Web3? Feel free to raise your hand and we can invite you up here. Or if Anthony, you have anything else you want to talk about? I kind of ran out of speaking points, so feel free to jump in and just go down whatever rabbit hole you want to go down.
Yeah, these rooms seem to work a little bit better when people have questions, those types of things. So, not too sure if anybody wants to chat about land or anything else that we're doing, subdividing, creative finance, a lot of the real estate basics, what we're working on. Again, marketing. If anybody doesn't have their marketing channel set up, that's something that we do. We could talk a little bit about Hivemind and what that does and how we use that to generate these types of leads. So, there's a bunch of different things we can talk about.
Oh yeah,
Feel free
in our
to,
podcast.
yeah, feel free to jump into Hivemind if you guys want to and just talk about what you guys do there. That's something that's a tool that everybody can use, and feel free to jump into that for a while if you want to.
Yeah, so if everybody has never heard of Hivemind, it's a business automation tool to help you do more marketing. So we run all of our real estate businesses through Hivemind, and that's what we do. We do a lot of texting and PPC. So we set up inbound leads and just do a lot of texting in general. So we text like 100,000 people over the last 3 months using Hivemind.
How's everybody doing their marketing right now in this group? I'm kind of just unfamiliar with the Tykes community. It's been a little while since I popped into anything. Is everybody here in real estate?
So we have people that are in real estate. Some people are that are just beginning in real estate. Some
Hmm.
people are just here for the Web3 side of things
Hmm.
and believe in the utility. So there's a lot of different people. I would say there's probably about 25% that are just that have been in real estate or are just getting in right now.
Okay. I'll tell you, one of the reasons I'm interested in real estate is not because I absolutely love real estate. Like, I love seeing the properties. I love seeing the land. I think Texas is beautiful. No two properties are alike. So I do love being around it. And I love being in this business, right? But I think one of the main reasons I'm in real estate is because you can move a lot of capital in a very short amount of time. So to me, it's like, I tell my kids this: I don't care what you want to do when you grow up. I don't care if you want to be a veterinarian or you want to be an artist or a musician or a YouTuber. Like, be whatever you want to be, but learn how to do real estate so you can learn how to move large volumes of capital into any business or any interest that you have. Right. So I'm about to open up a charity. I'm planning on opening two, but I'm just going to start with one right now. That's something that I'm interested in. I'm also going to get into the medical field. I've been a bit of a scientist, my whole life. I started reading bodybuilding magazines when I was 12, and I went down that rabbit hole, never got out of it. So now I do CrossFit, and I'm taking peptides, and I've healed a lot of people, a lot of different types of illnesses, just on my knowledge of the body and science, and just different like things that are not mainstream by any means. Some of them are not meant for human consumption, but again, it's just, you can push capital into anything that you're interested in, right? But what drives that? If you're already in real estate and you're doing well, you know exactly what drives that. But if you're newer, it's marketing. There's nothing else that you need to know. With very limited knowledge of real estate, very limited knowledge of how to put a deal together, and very limited capital, you can still move a lot of capital in real estate if you understand marketing and you know how to do it. So that's why we wanted to create a mastermind, but we figured, like, what would keep somebody in a mastermind? You come in, you pay your monthly fee once or twice, you lose interest, and then you leave. So I said, we need a product that's a little bit more sticky than that. So we decided to white label a CRM. And with that CRM, we use that to generate just thousands and thousands of real estate leads all over the country. The main modalities that we do is, for now, is a pay-per-click, and we do text messaging. So let's say you wanted to hit all of the 5-acre tracts in Dallas, right? We could just pull all 5 acres only, the whole entire DFW area, and then just light them up. Just start throwing text messages at them just all day, every day. And of course, 99% of those people tell you to get lost, like any other real estate owner might. But a handful of them raise their hand and they say, hey, yeah, I'm ready to sell. And that's what Hivemind does. It's just an interface for you to contact thousands and thousands of property owners and see which ones want to sell. The ones that are not ready to sell yet, they go into a follow-up pipeline. And of course, the ones that are ready to do business, they move into a hot pipeline. And it's just a way for you to manage and track doing a lot of transactions so you can get some of that capital, move it into things you're more interested in. But that's why we decided to create Hivemind, which is to scale up the volume and the number of deals that we're doing.
And it's just more than a CRM too. That's what a lot of people miss out on is you guys are really teaching people how to do real estate and marketing and everything put together. It's not just a CRM for you guys.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is, like, there's a huge community and collaborations, but I think we like contributing to other communities as it goes, just because we love the community aspect and crossing communities. So jumping into Tykes is no brainer. We've had clients work with other clients and make money. Like, we had a client literally text. He lives in Florida, but text out, and he lives in California, but was texting in Florida, and ended up getting a contract in 4 days, and then ended up JVing with another one of our clients in Florida. So they both ended up making like $7,000 in 20 days using our system and using the community side of it too. So a lot of people, they think it's just a CRM, but there's a community side of it. Well, community side of it as well, that can really be beneficial no matter what state of your business is in.
Monica, did you have a question? I seen you raise your hand, Monica. If you have a question, you're free to talk here if you want. Nope.
Yeah, she bounced.
Yeah, she heard Daniel talking and she was like, no, not this. No, I'm just kidding.
It happens.
Yeah, no, I'm messing with you. Go ahead. Somebody say something.
So the community side is definitely underutilized thing of the Hivemind. So we have clients in 4 different countries, and we have people just networking and cross collaborating with their deals and transactions and marketing efforts, and it's just a really cool community that we help run, but not necessarily. Me and Anthony don't see ourselves as the owners of it. We call ourselves the janitors of it because it's all growing to be its own thing, where people are making money through the network without even us participating. So it's kind of cool for us to oversee that and just watch the collaboration happen behind us. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of point something out, right? So if you want to take a look at the design of Hivemind, this could apply to any business, right? So we're referencing this tool or this community because it's what we do, we've been building for a year and a half. Even as a new company, where we'll be 2 years in February, we should break $1 million in revenue. This is just on the software, which I thought was interesting. I didn't even know we were growing that fast until Daniel mentioned it to me a couple months ago. But the whole entire design behind it was to be able to leverage community, because what that does is it makes you have two things, right? There's only two things in marketing or two things in business that move the needle. One is capital and one is time. So that was the whole entire founding principle of Hivemind, is to be able to leverage the capital and time of millions of people, right? And so along this build, if you're a new person that doesn't know what to do, and you do have limited capital, you probably have more time, right? And then so there's other people in the community that do have lists. They already have a bunch of resources. They do have some capital to invest, and they're limited on time. So a lot of people have formed partnerships around that. Some people are just running the leads. They'll send them to us. We'll help sell them. And then, like I said, some people that have extra time, we can pull the list for them, get that list in front of them, let them go to work on that stuff. And it's been a really good run. So I'll tell you where we are right now. This is the least amount of marketing we've ever done, and this is the most amount of leads that we've ever seen before. And it's just from the community. Like Evan said, we're training people, we're helping them get their campaign set up, we're helping them source capital, helping them negotiate deals. So it's just an amazing, experience when you have a vision for something and then you see it come to fruition. It's like, how did this happen? How did we get here? And it's funny because it's exactly what we predicted. It's exactly what we talked about a million times. But now to see it all happening letter for letter, it's been really, really cool. But anybody in this room, like I said, I don't care what you have in your bank account. I don't care what you're doing right now in business. But we do have a system where we can get you in front of a lot of opportunity. And you can do any size real estate transaction, and you don't need any capital at all. So I'm pretty proud of what we built.
Yeah, where could they find you at there?
I just recently deleted my Instagram. ever since Elon bought Twitter, I've been spending too much time on Twitter. So I just decided like something had to go, because I don't want to be spread too thin on social media apps. Yeah, so I just temporarily got out of Instagram. But you can find me on Facebook, Anthony, and then my last name is Gaona. And if you look up Hivemind CRM on any platform, then you can find myself and Daniel with TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, absolutely everywhere. We have a podcast where we're pushing almost 300 episodes. We hit 1,000 downloads last month for the first time ever. So, yeah, I feel like we're getting a lot of traction in a lot of different areas. And like I said, it's just really based. We don't have anything to sell you. It's just based on us. Like I said, really putting people into momentum and watching people grow, and they'll come back and say, hey, I'm glad I found you guys. Like, I'm doing so well now. And we've had, I would say we're pushing like 16, 17 clients that have had $100,000 months using the software and using our strategies. So we're doing pretty darn good, I think.
One thing I asked Mark 2 weeks ago when we had Mark on, Mark Monroe, is with the economy right now changing and it's everything kind of tightening up, especially with real estate. What would you say, Anthony? Where should people be spending or be focusing on? And then what shouldn't they be focusing on? What should they get out of right away, especially for somebody new that's jumping into the space?
As far as real estate?
Yeah, real estate. What kind of strategies? You think land, houses? Where should people be focusing their attention? And then what's a common strategy that people should be staying away from now?
I would say you could, if you saw a sliding scale, right, and at the bottom it says you have 0, and at the top you have infinity. Along that sliding scale, the closer you are to 0, you should stick to only wholesaling and nothing else. And more so than that, you should be sticking to a lot of JV partnerships and opportunities where, again, you're crowdsourcing. your deals and crowdsourcing your buyers. And that's something that Daniel and myself have become experts in, is finding buyers. And it's funny because we used to be on Clubhouse all the time. And I remember digging into everybody that would come on Clubhouse about real estate, trying to figure out how they're doing dispo. And I feel like that's something that we mastered now. But that's exactly what I would work on right now, is wholesaling, and even trying to partner with other people that already have deals and try to wholesale their deals. The closer you are to zero, I would stay away from anything that's going to be a long-term hold, like fix and flips, those kinds of things. Cash flowing assets are a little bit different, like apartments, self-storage, shopping centers, because that valuation of those businesses is based on rents. If it's somebody's housing, right, that's more important. That's an asset they're going to probably hang on to. But if it's some guy's pizza shop, that guy might close his doors up and head out. So I would say careful with commercial retail. Anything has to do with housing is good. But if you're planning on doing any kind of fix and flip, be it commercial, apartments, residential, I'd be very, very careful. Yeah, because we're moving into a space right now where the interest rates they're looking like they're going to get high. A lot of things could change tomorrow, but with the whole voting thing. But for now, I would stay away from anything that's based on speculation. And I feel like single family real estate investing at this point right now is speculation. So if you think you're going to have a $50,000 spread, that $50,000 spread can go to zero pretty quick. So if you have limited capital, I wouldn't get into anything like that. If you just have unlimited amounts of capital, yeah, then you can fix it up. And of course, if it doesn't sell, then you could just turn it into a rental. But I would stay away from anything that requires a large amount of your capital up front, based on a number that you've projected that you think you could sell it for, because we're not in a point where the market's going up anymore. If anything, it's going sideways, and it looks like it's going to start trending down. I would stick to land, wholesaling land. It's quick and it's easy. A lot of times, like I said, you can lock it up with zero, and it's high in demand still. I'd stay away from builder lots. A lot of builders are shying away from building, again, because they can't predict both costs of materials and the price of the houses that they're going to sell. But we're doing really, really well with commercial and farm and ranch properties. Yeah, those buyers are not slowing down a bit. Not yet, not at all.
Anthony, can you kind of go into the reason why we like land over houses?
I like land because there's no toilets, no roof, no nothing. I mean, it's easy to sell. A lot of the land buyers, they don't give a shit what the rates are. They're not even thinking about it. They're not looking at it. They're not talking about it. They never mention it to us. A lot of these guys have cash. They've been, they didn't wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to go buy 10 acres. This is something that they've probably been saving up for 5, 10, 20 years. So I would say I don't even know how many transactions I've done anymore, but I would say at least 200 transactions. I've had maybe 5 people go to the bank, maybe 10, actually go to the bank and get a loan. Everybody else is cash buyers. So that's why we're definitely sticking to land. We're not going to slow down, right? So I see where other real estate investors are starting to tighten up and slow down. We're actually locking up stuff faster than we've ever done before. And like I said, as far as our marketing goes, we're able to ease off of our budget because our community is getting bigger and bigger. But between everybody, JV partnerships, it's just going a lot faster, and we're not planning on slowing down at all.
Did we lose you there for a second?
I had a phone call. But yeah, as you said, that we're not going to slow down on marketing. We're going to keep going even faster because we haven't seen our buyers slow down at all. And again, I don't care what the interest rates do. I don't think it's going to apply to our business at all.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I wanted to say and make sure that everybody's understanding, when Anthony says focus on land, he's not talking, like you mentioned it, builder lots. We don't really consider builder lots land. It's more of it's like a single use type thing in the middle of town, right? So we're talking on land, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony, when you're referring to land nowadays, you're saying anything larger than 10 acres, right?
We have the wholesaling $1 million land deals group on Facebook. So there we're specifically focused on tracts that are 50 acres and up with a value of $1 million and up. And we don't look at anything smaller for that community. But I mean, I think if you're just a wholesaler trying to eat, I would probably stick to 1 acre and up, right, in the outskirts of any major Texas city. It might be different where you live, right? I don't know too much about Atlanta, but I'm going to imagine that the outskirts of any major city, and normally unrestricted land is the land that I think is not going to take a hit because, like Evan said, where your builder lots, again, that's based on very specific numbers on the spreadsheet, where you can buy an infill lot between two houses for, let's say, 10 or 20% of the value of the homes around it. Those numbers aren't going to apply anymore because I saw those builder lots just going higher and higher and higher based on that 10 to 20% rule for the price of the houses that are going up. But that's something that, again, it's a fixed number. And as the market does start to slide like it is already, if it gets worse, that builder lot is that 10 to 20% is not going to hold up anymore. Right now, it only might be worth 5 or 10% of the home values around it based on the houses crashing. So with your unrestricted outskirts land, if you're just starting out, if you have a small marketing budget and you just need some quick wins, yeah, I would say an acre and up is good. But I think the sweet spot, like Evan said, is probably right around that 10 acres and up, where you can easily make $100,000 on every deal.
And then last thing, I know the answer what I would want in this, but for you guys, you and Daniel, when somebody's going to bring you a piece of land over 10 acres, what are like the first like 5 things you were looking for on that piece of land? Because we know on residential, we're talking about the foundation, we're talking about the roof, we're talking about how the inside looks. But what are those 5 things or 4 things or whatever how many number of things you look at on land? What are your attributes you're looking for?
The main things I want to know is proximity to the city, first and foremost. How close am I from the main part of the city? If you're an hour and a half, 2 hours away, yeah, that price of land is going to drop considerably. Nobody wants 10 acres out in the middle of nowhere. If that was a 100-acre tract or a 500-acre tract or a 2,000-acre tract, yeah, now you can go out 2-3 hours. But for a 10-acre tract, I think that's I call them a rich kid's playground. So this is somebody that already does very well in business, probably not blue collar, probably just one level above that, where they want to buy a little piece of heaven, build a house on it, build a big barn or shop, and that way they can have their toys and their tools in there. In Texas, people shoot, right? So you want to have like all of your equipment in there, and you can go hunting on 10 acres. There's a lot of things you could do with 10 acres that a normal person's not even thinking about, right? Average Americans just trying to put a roof over their head, have a decent home so they can raise a family. But by the time you move up to those 10-acre tracts, those are something that people are thinking about from that aspect, as opposed to just, I'm just going to throw one house on and that's it. So these properties are still okay if they're partially in the flood zone. I'm looking at the amount of paved road that's touching the property. So if you can imagine that a property is long ways and it lays along the paved road, that's going to be a lot more valuable than a property that has a little small piece of land touching the road and then the property runs straight to the back. So I want to see orientation along the paved road. I want to know about the flood zone, proximity to the city. I like trees. I like wooded lots. I feel like they sell a lot better than a lot that's been shaved and doesn't have anything on it. Just for privacy reasons, I think it makes for a nicer property. But that's pretty much it. If it has utilities, that's good. If it has public water, electric, that's amazing. If it has sewer, even better. But on these types of tracks, that's not really like the end all be all. So you can still get away with a water well, septic tank, those kinds of things, and you could still make a lot of money on 10 acres.
Let me ask you real quick. What do you think about desert land? So we have a lot of people out, Arizona, LA. You get outside those major cities, Phoenix, you get into like a lot of desert land. Is that something you'd be focusing on, 10 acres or more? Or is that not a piece of land that you'd consider?
Yeah, again, I wouldn't mess with it, man, unless it's, like I said, so close to the city that it makes sense. Once you're out in the middle of the desert, I'd probably try to pick them up for pennies on the dollar. For instance, I bought 2 acres out, I think, southeast of Phoenix, Arizona, and I paid like $600 for each acre just because I thought it would be cool just to own land. So I think about desert squares and, those kinds of things that are like in the middle of nowhere, just as like kind of trading cards, right? So if you've never invested in property before and you don't have a lot of capital, you could say, hey, I'm just going to buy these 10 acres or 50 acres for my daughter because I can pick it up for $1,000, right? So I think it's cool just to have it in that regard, like just knowing that you own property somewhere. Like I've never even been to those desert squares over there in Arizona, and I'm never going to go see them. But I think it's cool that I own them, right? So I think those are like kind of cool for being like trading cards, and people still have interest in those. So if you get them cheap enough, if you can get 100 acres for $10 an acre, yeah, I'd take that, shove it into a drawer somewhere, and you could list them on these sites like land.com and those guys, and somebody will buy them, especially if you seller finance them. So you buy it for $1,000, and then you just turn around and throw it on land.com for $2,500, with $500 down or $1,000 down, and now you got a little note on a little piece of property. So like I said, collectors will buy them.
Cool. I guess anybody have any questions for myself or Anthony or Daniel on anything we've talked about? Feel free to raise your hand, or I'll probably cut it off here in about 2 to 3 minutes or so. Not a whole lot of interest in here tonight. Well,
they're like, we want to hear about NFTs, bro. Get to the good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can shut down then. Unless you guys have anything else. Thanks, Anthony, for coming on. Daniel, Miss Barbosa for hosting.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was fun. Yeah, happy to come on and chat anytime. You guys check us out. Check out Hivemind, Anthony Gowan, and Daniel Martinez. And thanks, Evan, for having us on here. Thanks for leading the way with Tykes and continuing to help grow the community. I'm telling you, this place is going to the moon. So I don't know how attached the people are in here to the community, but yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons to be here, and I don't think there's any chance of it failing. I just, like you said, there's too many people involved. 60 board members, the minds that are behind it. It's not going anywhere. So, all right, man. I appreciate it. Everybody have a good night.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, guys. If you would like to receive hot leads right to your cell phone in a text message, check out hiveleads.io, and you can receive the same leads we've been receiving in our campaign for 3.5 years that's made us successful in the land game. Check us out.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.1listguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.